Good morning. Welcome to the University of District of Columbia's 16th Annual Veterans Day Observance Program. It's my pleasure to welcome you to campus on behalf of President Mason and the entire Executive Cabinet. I'm William Latham, the Chief Student Development and Success Officer here at the University of the District of Columbia. It's always a pleasure to honor veterans on this day, on this occasion, and we're very thankful that you are in attendance. We're going to proceed with the program. Everyone should have a copy of the program with you. Let us know if you do not. And we're going to ask you to stand now for the presentation of colors by the Jackson Reed JROTC Honor Guard.
March on. March. Left turn. March. Colors. Halt. Present. Colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Order. Colors. Right turn. March. Forward. March.
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, I want to welcome Tiara Allen, class of 2023, to the podium, please.
Good morning.
Good
Morning.
In 2016, the Veterans Day Moment of Silence Act became public law, designed to bring Americans together and provide an opportunity to reflect on veterans who have touched our lives. Typically, this moment of silence is held on November 11th at 11 a.m. The reason for the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month is due to the cessation of hostilities on the Western Front of World War I. This occurred in 1918 and signaled the end of World War I, also known as Armistice Day. Our country has a responsibility to the men and women in our armed forces to honor their courageous service and sacrifice. By coming together as a nation with a moment of silence each Veterans Day, we send a powerful message of our appreciation for all veterans have done for our country. So today, on November 10th, everyone in the audience is invited to participate in the observance of a few moments of silence. Let's take this time to pause quietly and join our thoughts with thousands of other Americans as this is a great way to ensure you remember the purpose of Veterans Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiara. Again, on behalf of the President, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our campus today. We are very honored to have veterans in our presence, in attendance. We certainly are very honored to have a strong veterans unit here at UDC, led by Ms. Sequoia Adebayo. Sequoia, raise your hand. Thank you for your service. We're expanding that office this year with additional personnel because we recognize that this particular opportunity to serve our veterans is critical to the university's mission, it's critical to who we are as a campus, it's critical to who we are as a country. And so this particular commitment by the university to expand that office is really, really a reflection of our particular belief in our veterans, and we're very proud of that. Again, welcome to this campus, welcome to the 16th Annual Veterans Day Observance Program. And now we will continue with the Honorable Nick Charles, class of 2009, to give us an occasion. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Today is a fine day as we get ourselves prepared to celebrate Veterans Day. I'm happy to be home at the University of District of Columbia. Firebirds, how y'all feeling? All right now, listen. It's like I said, it's a proud honor to be here today. UDC, there's so much to say about the university, this institution, and what it means to veterans like myself. When I left active duty and came back to this school, they were so welcoming. They helped so much with the Montgomery GI Bill to make sure that it was an easy, seamless process so that somebody who is coming out of the military, trying to better themselves, make it to the next level, having that type of functionality within the school to make it easier for veterans to come home and be able to get what they were looking for. It's a testament to the character of the university. It's a testament to the leadership of the university, the board of trustees, the presidents, and the Office of Veteran Affairs within the university system. So I'd like to thank them, give them a round of applause for that. You know, veterans, this is a day to celebrate those who have not given their lives, that's for Memorial Day, but for every single veteran who has given the sacrifice of their time and their commitment to serve this country. We have to remember that. We have so many people from our community who don't know which direction they want to go, and the United States military provides that opportunity for them to go and become something better than they've ever been. It gives them a purpose, a sense of drive, and a sense of commitment to go and serve your country. You know, I ended up going into the military right before 9/11. I worked at the Pentagon as a government employee and left literally 2 weeks before 9/11, leaving the Pentagon. And we lost so many people in that building that day, so many people. But those veterans, those airmen, those soldiers, those Marines, those seamen, these folks stepped up to the challenge to go fight for our democracy, to go and get some payback, because that's what we got. We got payback. And it takes those people to have that level of guts. It takes those people to have that level of integrity to continue to move our country forward. And so I'm happy to be a veteran. Where are the veterans at that's in the house? How many folks have served? I want to thank all of you guys as well. You know, every single one of us gave that commitment. How many of y'all retired?
Yeah.
Okay. I see my girl Keisha back there in uniform. Freshly retired too.
Yeah.
Yes, and you give her a round of applause. we grew up together in Prince George's County, and like I said, for so many kids, you don't know which direction you want to go, and the military is that option for a lot of our students. And University of DC, the fact that you all, like I said, I'm going to continuously give you the praise because you make it easy for us when we get home after serving our country to make it a seamless process for us to get our education and become better at what we do. But thank you all so much. I'm not going to be able to stay the whole time because I have to go and speak at another event right after this at Bowling Air Force Base. But I'd like to thank you all for extending the invitation for me to bring greetings to the university to serve as a spokesman for all of us from the University of DC veterans population and the student body. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Charles, again, on behalf of the university, particularly as a proud alum. We really appreciate your service and your particular participation today at your alma mater. Next, we'll have greetings from Elliot Domingo, from Director of the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs, followed by the introduction of the speaker by Alex Sassone, class of 2023, and then next will be the keynote address by Captain Garland of the U.S. Army. So, Elliot, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Greetings. Thanks again to UDC, and it's great to see Delegate Charles here. Getting more veterans into elected office is key to the success of this country. So it's wonderful to see that. But this, I've come to UDC many times for this. This is an event that I always come to, and I appreciate it. And I thank Sequoia for organizing this and allowing me to speak to you all and be here. It's been a while since we've been back in person, so that is wonderful. We came together through a pandemic. I think we came out stronger as a city, as a university, and as a veteran community. So I'm very happy to see that as well. And I thank Mayor Bowser for her leadership through this and allowing my office to continue through the pandemic with its resources to serve all 30,000 veterans. Now, it's been said that there were really only two branches of the military, the Army and the Navy.
No!
And that the Air Force is a corporation, Air Force is a corporation, and the Marine Corps is a cult. And now I, as a Marine, who served 15 years as an enlisted infantryman and a communications officer, says that's very true. We are a cult. We're an arrogant cult because we stand on the shoulders of giants, on our fellow veterans, and everybody out there that allow us to be successful, and that is what we are as a veteran community. And we love all of each other. We make fun of each other for fun, but we're one giant community. And what is today? Tomorrow is Veterans Day, but today
Marine Corps
is the Marine Corps birthday. That's right. We had to be first, right? We are 247 years young, and have a drink tonight for the Marine Corps. Have one or five, whatever you want to do. But hoorah, Marines! Where are my Marines?
Yeah!
We're loud. You can find us anywhere. Now, that's right. As the director of the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs, I'm proud to report a few accomplishments we've had through this year. Back in 2018, we finally granted claims authority. So our fight for statehood, for DC statehood, our argument has always been the veteran community too. We deserve representation. But we did not have a full claims program to take care of our veterans. That changed in 2018. So now our state level office acts like the state level office, and we do claims for veterans. We did $2.9 million in claims this year. That means every month $2.9 million comes in to our veteran community for their benefits, and $300,000 in retroactive claims with our claims officers. So if you're a veteran that needs a claim, please come to our office. We will do it for you. We're an accredited office. We're acting like that state level entity. We also have the Vets Rise program that gives free cab service rides to any veteran that makes under $45,000 a year or is recently unemployed. We did 7,765 rides this year to Med Center, really anywhere you want to go, and to locations in Virginia and Maryland for medical appointments. And finally, starting October 1st, something that we've been working on for years, the Veteran Homestead deduction program for property taxes is in effect. So if you're a disabled veteran, we will take the first $445,000 of your property tax deduction off for you. And you can apply that through ova.dc.gov. So we have some programs in place, and we're here to serve the veterans. Please contact my office, 202-724-5454, or just go to ova.dc.gov to enroll in any of these programs. And thank you for your time. Happy to be here, and look forward to our next addresses.
morning. Captain Angela C. Garland is a native of Lynchburg, Virginia. She graduated from E.C. Glass High School in July 2009. She was an active member of the varsity track and field team, earning multiple district and regional individual medals and team awards to include the Vince Bradford Team Award. In October 2009, Captain Garland completed United States Army Basic Combat Training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, as a 25 Bravo Information Technology Specialist. Upon completion of advanced individual training in July 2010 at Fort Gordon, Georgia, Captain Garland was assigned to the 201st Signal Company, 41st Signal Battalion, Yongsan, South Korea. After her tour in Asia, she was then assigned to the United States Army Sergeant Major's Academy, Fort Bliss, Texas, in August 2011. In June 2013, she earned her Associates of Arts degree in Liberal Arts from Excelsior College. Captain Garland was selected in 2014 for the Army Green to Gold program, where she was granted the opportunity to finish her college education. Captain Garland graduated from Norfolk State University with a Bachelor of Science in Mass Communication and was subsequently commissioned into the United States Army Adjunct General Corps in December 2017. She also graduated with summa cum laude honors and ROTC Distinguished Military Graduate. Captain Garland completed Adjunct General Basic Officers Leadership course in April 2018 at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and was then assigned to the 35th Signal Brigade, Fort Gordon, Georgia, where she served as the Brigade Strength Manager and Command Group Executive Officer. She currently serves as a Ceremonies Operations Officer in charge of the Ceremonies and Outreach Directorate, Military District of Washington, Washington, D.C. She was recently selected to the Public Affairs Branch and will attend the Defense Information School in April 2023. She was also selected by the Office of the Chief of Public Affairs as the Army Social Media Brand Ambassador. Captain Garland's awards and decorations include the Joint Commendation Medal, Army Accommodation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, Army Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Medal, Korean Defense Service Medal, Non-Commissioned Officer Professional Development Ribbon, Army Service Ribbon, and Overseas Service Ribbon. Thank you.
Good morning. How is everyone doing? Great? Okay, I have a lot of energy, so I kind of expect that in return. I'm just putting that out. The Marines, y'all are already I love to hear it. Thank you so much for having me. When Sequoia reached out to me on Instagram, I was like, I like this. Of course I'll do this. And when she talked to me, she was like, yeah, like we have an annual Veterans Day celebration and we haven't had it in a couple of years because of the pandemic. And I want you to be the keynote speaker. Our slogan this year is adapt and overcome. And I just want you to tell your story, you know, and kind of tie it into that theme. And I'm like, adapt and overcome. What chapter of the story do you want? Okay, so I know you was going down my biography and you hear a lot of accolades, but whoo, child, getting to that place was a ride. And so I am happy to share a part of that ride with you. But first and foremost, again, thank you so much, Sequoia, for inviting me here. Thank you so much for your introductions and thank you so much for your part. And again, thank you so much for everyone for coming because this really is a day to celebrate. Before I go into my story, I again want to celebrate the veterans. Veterans, can we please give a round of applause for them? I am proud to serve with you, I'm proud to serve behind you, and I'm proud to serve before those that are going to join in the future. Now, going back to high school, yes, the high school, there's the accolades in high school, but high school was rough for me. My mom, say hi, Mommy. I brought my mom here with me today. She's traveling up here. She's actually going to be able to witness me escorting the First Lady tomorrow at the National Veterans Day Observance. So I'm like, Mom, hey, you know, you should come up. Like, how many mothers in the world can you say can watch their daughter escort the First Lady of the United States? So I'm very happy. Thank you, Mom, for coming. But this lady right here is the reason why I'm up here, to be honest, because she made me enroll in junior ROTC. Now, I had no intention of joining the military ever. That was not, no. Okay, like I had my reasons, but I was not a very disciplined child. The only thing I was disciplined was school, and that's because I had like this overachiever mentality. So going into high school, I took high school classes in the 8th grade, and I went into high school with a 4.3 GPA. And as an elective, my mom's like, since my brother was in JROTC, she's like, you need to enroll in JROTC. And I'm like, you're the parents, okay, I'll do it. So I enrolled in JROTC, and at the time, that was literally an elective where you show up, we all know those type of electives, you show up, and then you get an A. And so I was like, okay, how am I going to this? And then, the following year, I'm like, okay, I have to have 2 years of an elective to graduate. And we got 2 new instructors, and they were the polar opposite of the instructors that we had. And I was like, what is this? He comes in, he's like, why isn't anyone standing at the position of attention? And I'm like, well, what is that? I don't know what that is. Stand up. Who are you talking to? Like, I don't know who you're talking to. You're talking to me. And I clashed a lot with my ROTC instructors, to the point that they kicked me out the program. And I was like, well, fine, I didn't want to be here anyway, so y'all got it. And alongside that, again, I had a very rebellious attitude in high school. Very rebellious. I dealt with some bullying. I had some peer pressure thing going on. I think the only thing that kept me afloat was track and field, because I, again, had this overachiever mentality. I was doing really well in track and field, and it was something that just kept me into school, because going through junior and sophomore year, I wanted to stay away. I was skipping classes. I think by the time my senior year, I had a whole schedule, like, okay, 4th period, okay, we have a test today, so I'm gonna stay there, but I'm gonna leave 5th period because I don't know what they're talking about today, but I'm not gonna be there. Like, it was a whole schedule in my head. Like, every single day I was skipping a period. And when I got to my senior year, my guidance counselor, she's like, hey, if you wanna graduate on time, you're gonna have to finish up this elective, and the only thing we're looking at is ROTC, and I'm like, I gotta go. You're gonna have to go back and ask them if you can get back in the program. And I'm like, I gotta ask them, why can't you just put me in there? And they're like, nope, they have to accept you. And I'm like, ooh, okay, God is teaching me humility right now. I'm preparing for the adult world. So I go to ROTC, and thankfully, Staff Sergeant Doherty, he listened and he was empathetic, and he allowed me back into the program. And it was in that moment where I got my first dose of wanting to do better, not just based off of what I have to do for myself, but to prove to someone that I had shown in the past that I wasn't worthy, that I am worthy, and I am able to do or complete these tasks that are set before me. So boom, I get an ROTC, and I actually was doing really well, but I was, again, not doing really well in my other classes. It's really bad. So by the time it came to graduation, unfortunately, my guidance counselor tells me, well, yeah, and ROTC was fine, but you failed 2 other classes, so you can't graduate right now. I don't know if you paid attention to my bio. He said I graduated in July 2009. I had to graduate in summer school. And I had a lot of pride back then, and I was really embarrassed about that. Really embarrassed. And that was a rough day when they told me that, but I had to suck it up. Now, just bringing it back a little bit, because I did enlist in my senior year of high school, and it was very interesting, because that day, the recruiters are sitting in the cafeteria, and they're trying to get them, come here, minions. And here I am, so every Monday in JROTC program, we would wear our uniform. And they're in uniform, and we were Air Force ROTC. I can't even lie, I don't know if I chose the right branch, but it's okay. And, what I'm talking about. Army, is there any other than, thank you, sorry. Any other Army? Okay, cool, my battle, thank you. Okay, we got a president, that's what I'm talking about. Anyways, so boom, Army ROTC recruiters, they're in my lunchroom, cafeteria, sorry. And I walk up to them, and I'm like, hey, you're in uniform, I'm in uniform, what's up? And they're like, hey, take this card, fill it out. And I was like, don't mind if I do. Y'all know what that card meant. Hey, we got your contact information. And lo and behold, that sucker was at my door that night, wanted me to take the pre-ASVAB. And I'm like, what is this? They're like, take the pre-ASVAB. And I'm like, okay, scored really well on that. And then I took the ASVAB the next day. And I'm like, whatever, took the ASVAB. And then that weekend, I was at MEPS. Oh my God. And I'm like, how did I get here? Hold on. Whoa, I thought that I was going to college and running track, and then all of a sudden I'm not. And I'm going into the military, the one thing I said I wasn't going to do. It's funny how life works. And so moving towards the end of the senior year, I was supposed to leave for basic training in July of 2009. I was actually supposed to leave 2 days prior to the graduation date for high school, right? And so I had to go back to MEPS and let them know, hey, so I can't go, so what do we do about this? And they're like, well, you lose your $15,000 bonus and you gotta go back to the MEPS and you gotta find a different job. And I was like, I messed up. Okay, so we'll go back, and then at first I was supposed to be 42 Alpha, which is the human resource specialist, but then I changed my job to 25 Bravo, information technology specialist. And I'm like, okay, so now I am going to basic training, and I graduated high school with a 2.1 GPA. That 4.3 went to 2.1. And it's just crazy how when you look at when I look back, I don't know about your stories, but when I look back on my high school career, I'm like, how did I allow myself to get there? But I know I needed something, I needed a kick in the butt, because I know that there was something inside of me that was truly special. I just had to figure out a way to get it out. And what got it out? The military. And so when I went to basic training was a breeze physically, but emotionally and mentally, I wanted to fight every single woman in there. I remember calling my brother in the first week of reception like, they don't know me. But I got through basic training, and once I got to my first duty station in South Korea, that's when, matter of fact, I remember when I found out I was going to South Korea. Now, we're from Lynchburg, Virginia. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that town, but it is a small town. Liberty University, we get it, but it's a small country town in southwestern Virginia. Asked my mom, we don't travel. I had to beg her to come up here, like, just, come on, Mom, you gotta get out of Lynchburg. Just kidding, but no, for real, get out of Lynchburg. And we don't travel, so when I found out I was going to South Korea, I was like, why are they sending me across the world? And I cried like a baby. I was like, why do they do this to me? Crying in church, telling them they're sending me to Korea. And so I go to Korea, and now I don't have my mom. I don't have anyone except for myself, and I am forced to grow up. And it was a really tough time. It was tough dealing with people that come from all walks of life, come from so many different backgrounds, so many different ethnicities, so many different levels of education. And you're just sitting there as an 18-year-old private that really, excelled, somewhat in basic training and in AIT, but, now is the time to perform. And my time in Korea, when I was in my unit, and I'm pretty sure that everyone that's sitting in this room that has served had been in a situation where you really walk into the room and they already cast you aside based off of what they see. And I walked into that situation. It was kind of like this mob mentality, like we already have the people that we like that we expect to do great, and anyone outside of that, they're gonna kind of be off to the side. And so, unfortunately for them, it lit a fire up my butt, because I'm like, okay, it's fine, because I like proving people wrong. And so if you're not going to let me shine here, I'm gonna find a way to shine somewhere else. And so what I did was I started my education. So I first enrolled in University of Maryland college campus. I really thought it was University of Maryland, but y'all know what I'm talking about. And I did that. I was taking college courses. I ended up volunteering at the high school track and field team, or the high school for the track and field team, and was coaching there. And luckily for me, the other individual that I was coaching there was actually the assistant to the ambassador of Korea. So it was a colonel, and so he's like, hey, Patagonia, you kind of cool, and you kind of know what you're talking about. I was like, I wish you could tell my unit that, but it's okay. And it was funny because when I started doing those type of things, that's when the individuals inside started to see like, wow, like she really does have potential, but unfortunately for them, it was time for me to go, so they couldn't, get the best part of me, and that's fine. Because at the end of the day, I tell you, especially the young ones that are listening in this room, sometimes you have to let people see you walk away. You know, sometimes you have to allow people, or accept the fact that some people just won't understand the value that you bring to the team, and it's okay that they don't understand it. It is absolutely okay that they don't understand it, because as long as you know your value, you won't stay in a place where people don't value you. So you continue to move on and continue to give your gift to each team and present that value. So then when I went to Fort Bliss, Texas, I found myself again in a familiar situation. And I remember specifically when I just got there, and my supervisor, she's a female, and she goes to my platoon sergeant 3 days in and says, I don't want Garland to bat her eyelashes and think she's gonna get her way. And I'm like, what have my eyelashes got to do with anything? Like, I just got here. But it's okay, like, you know, I get it, you know. There are certain stigmas that come with, you know, certain presentations, and that's fine. That's fine. I can't help how God made me. Like, I feel like that's a personal problem. But, you know, again, figuring out what my value, or what value I can add to this team. And luckily for me, I was placed in situations where me as a young soldier, because I'm a specialist at this time, I now get to work in positions that are 2 to 3 levels above my actual performance level. So now you see how God works. He starts to shift and move people, and then places me in certain positions to where, okay, you know, you have no choice but to step up. Have no choice but to step up. And I was granted that opportunity. And while being there, one of my friends from basic training was like, hey man, you should think about going officer. And I was like, bro, I'm not the officer type. You know me. Like, we know, you see officers, like, I don't know, I can't present myself as an officer. He was like, nah, like, it's good, and they got the Green to Go program, and they, you know, they'll pay for your college, you know, you make a little money or whatever. And I was like, money? Let's hear that. I was like, well, let me look up this pay chart. And listen, in comparison to officer, I was like, ooh, this is nice, you know. Everybody knows, like, what it's like to be a private, a single private in the barracks. It is, it's not wealthy, but it's okay. You adapt and overcome, right? So boom, I was like, you know what? I think I'll go ahead and do this. And my unit, because again, thankfully this unit saw the value and appreciated the value that I gave to this team, so they accepted me. I worked at the non-commissioned officer academy, and I was the only soldier, but they treated me like an NCO. It was super dope. And I'm like, man, this is royalty around here, you know, my bathroom, sorry. So they treated me like that, and they were so supportive of me going officer. And so when it was finally time to begin my packet, unfortunately, my command sergeant major, my commandant, was leaving. He wrote my letter of recommendation, but we get a new one. And the day he did his change of responsibility, he comes into our conference room and he's like, everybody, no, he was super country. Everybody that's in here, that's been in here longer than 22 months, you gotta go. You can't stay here, you gotta go. And I'm like, I just said 22 months. I'm like, dang, this is so unfortunate. And so he's like, Garland, you're going up to the Sergeant's Major Academy. Now again, I'm a specialist. I am the only soldier in that entire unit. And I'm now going up to the Sergeant's Major Academy. And when I first get up there, I already had my Green to Go packet started. I presented it to my new commandant. And I said, hey, Sergeant Major, I'm working on my Green to Go packet. It's due by 1 February. Now this time frame is roughly September, October 2014. Said, this is what I got. I am not lying here. I promise you I'm not lying, because it's still appalling to me to this day. He says, what makes you think that you are fit to be an officer? You're not a sergeant yet. You don't even have a high enough GT score. You haven't deployed. You need to go to a line unit. And I'm looking at him like, bro, you don't know me. Like, what? What do you mean? Like, if I didn't think I was fit, I would not be in your face asking you to endorse my packet. I need you to sign this. But okay, cool. Now some people let that deter them, but not me. I was like, all right, cool. You know, at some point, you're gonna sign this packet, because I'm going to be an officer. And what I needed to increase my GT score in order to be an officer, it has to be 110, and I had 101. When I took the ASVAB the first time, I fell asleep, can't even lie. And so I did not take it serious, and it was an obstacle to even get my packet signed to even get in this class. He did not want to sign it. And it took for my section sergeant major to go to him specifically and say, hey, why are you not trying to let this soldier progress? What is keeping you from doing that? Came back, and the paper was signed. I was like, ooh, yes, sergeant major. And I go to the FAST class. And it was so interesting because my supervisor, my shop, my first sergeant, and the sergeant major, they all just doubted me. Like, do y'all really think I'm dumb? I'm having all of these thoughts in my head. Like, they're coming up to me every week, like, so how's the FAST class going? And I remember one time, first sergeant said that, and I'm like, well, today we took a mock test, and I got a 117 GT score. And he was like, what? And I was like, why are you surprised? Like, I'm so confused. And so, okay, finally took it, and I raised it from a 101 to a 127. And I came back, and it was just so interesting to see the shock on their faces. And I'm like, why? It was mind-boggling to me. And it hurt. It hurt a lot. And I spent a lot of time at home crying, trying to figure out why these grown people, because I'm the youngest person, I'm only like, 23 at the time, in this entire unit. And for some reason, they feel it's okay to treat me this way. My leaders. This is a turning point for me when it comes to leadership, because I know I'm going to be somebody's leader one day. And I made certain that once I was in that role, I would never make anyone feel that way. It's not okay. And so, got that completed, but unfortunately, while I was in the FAST class, my commandant was kind of doing some little shady stuff. Called my branch manager, got me out his unit. He did not want to sign me. And so at that time, the unit that I found out I was going to was deploying in January, and it's December. And I'm like, okay, because now I can't put it in my packet because I got to get through this deployment. I'm like, man, this sucks. But keep pressing on. I go home, surprise my mom for Christmas that year, and I had a report right after Christmas break, and come to find out, my unit changed. I got moved to another brigade, out of nowhere, and I'm not deploying. So I go to that unit, I do the same thing. I told my supervisor, hey, I need to talk to the company commander. I need this packet endorsed. It's already completed, I just need an LOR and his signatures. He's like, oh, well, that's him, walking past right here. Sir? Sat down in his office, boom, just like that. Oh yeah, I got you, whatever you need, da-da-da. Well, this is what great leadership looks like. I'm like, this is foreign to me. I was shocked, to be honest. Unfortunately, at the time, I had applied to Texas Southern University, because I was out there in Texas, and my boyfriend at the time, he and I were trying to create a future together. He had gotten out, and so he was going to go to the Culinary Arts Institute there. So we chose that school. We wanted, to be in Houston. Fortunately, the day that my packet was due, I was waiting for one more document, and it was what's called a CC 104R, and it's basically a document that details all of the classes that you have to take in addition to your ROTC classes to make sure that you graduate on time so that you can commission on time. And when they gave me my 104R back, by this time I already had my associate's degree. I had 81 credits, and they only took 9. And I'm like, and that's significant because for the Green to Go program, I was applying for the active duty option, and I could only have 2 years of school left. You only take 9 credits, I'm starting over. That's 4 years. And if you do 4 years, then you have to submit your SAT and ACT scores. I didn't take that in high school because I enlisted in the military. It was, thank God. I'm like, I don't have these scores. What do I do now? And I was so discouraged. I'm like, I went through all of this just for it to end like this. And it was so funny because a week later after that, I was sitting on battalion staff duty, and my NCO and I are in there, and there's a first lieutenant that walks in. And somehow we got on the conversation of commissioning. I think I had told him, like, try to, go green to gold, and this happened, And he was like, well, are you familiar with the hip pocket option? And I was like, what's a hip pocket option? He's like, when the post general, they pick you. You got until 30 March to submit that packet. And I was like, really? So there's still hope? He's like, yeah. And I was like, but, I can't do Texas Southern. Like, they only took 9 of my credits. And he was like, well, what about the Norfolk State University? And I was like, nah, man, I heard that's a party school. I don't have time for that. He's like, nah, it's good. Like, I went there, like, you good. Like, it's not going to be like that. And I was like, well, I don't think about it. He was like, give me your information, think about it, or let me grab my information, think about it, and I'll go ahead and try to get you linked up with our recruiting officer. And I'm like, all right, cool. And that night, I went on the Norfolk State website, and I started looking at their majors. And originally, I was supposed to major in psychology at Texas Southern. And I saw that Norfolk State had a mass comm and journalism program. And I'm like, that's what because I wanted to be a sports news broadcaster. Like, I always felt like I was going to be on TV. Like, at some point, I was going to be on TV. And I was like, that's going to get me there. And I love sports, love football, go Rams. I thought I was going to do that. So they had this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so dope. Maybe this will work. And so I texted him right then and there. I was like, hey, sir, I'm going to apply right now. And boom, he got me Mr. Shirk from Norfolk State University's information. He's like, hey, like, we can help expedite this. I can get the PMS to sign your welcome letter, all of that. Boom, got it done. And thankfully, I had my commander, right, my supportive commander. He's like, I'm going to work the channels to get this submitted up to the post commander. So we get everything together, and boom, it's sent up. And then I found out on April 10th that year that the commander chose my packet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to ROTC, I'm going to go, I'm going to be an officer. And the best part about the situation is that I went back to the Sergeant's Major Academy, and I went to go tell my old coworkers that I got selected, the ones that I was cool with. And I ran into my Sergeant Major, the one that helped me get my form signed. And she was like, that's great, Carla. And that commandant was walking down the hallway, and she turned around, she's like, Sergeant Major, Specialist Garland got accepted into the Green to Gold program. That man literally stood at attention, did an about face, and walked away. I said, well, that's cool. It's fine. Make sure you smile when you salute me. But again, that process started in September 2013, and it lasted until April 2014. And there were so many obstacles. But I was so certain that this was the path that God paid for me. This is the path that I'm supposed to be walking. So I got to keep going, adapting and overcoming. And I go into ROTC, and it's interesting. A girl that got kicked out of JROTC is now back in ROTC. You see how that works, right? Parallels of life. But now I'm excelling. I'm more disciplined. Thank you, Army, drill sergeants. I have some motivation. I understand my value. And I'm determined to succeed. I'm determined to be in a position to help those that was in my position that didn't have a voice, that got faced with adversity, that didn't have the help that they needed, the resources that they needed. And I'd say one thing, I'm not going to go deep into it, because a lot of people, if you follow my social media, they understand that this event happened. But when I was a victim of a drive-by shooting in 2016, it was one of those situations where I'm like, how, why, what did I do? Because now I have to fight to commission, I have to heal, I have to deal with, the physical pain, the emotional pain, the mental pain, while still keeping my goals directly in front of me. And it was a very tough time, an extremely tough time. And 3 weeks prior to me being a victim of that drive-by shooting, I got sent home from advanced camp, and that's commissioning requirements, like a basic training for cadets. I got sent home because I was a heat cat. I developed what was called rhabdomyolysis. They sent me home, they said, you gotta come back next year. And I'm like, not only do I have to get these classes finished, I have to maintain this wonderful GPA that I have. I have to go back to advanced camp, and I have to make sure that my foot is ready for that. I got shot in my foot and my leg. All of this in a year before I graduate and commission. But that moment, that time in my life where I had to fight to get here, I'll be doggone if I let some bullets stop me at this point. And that's where my head was at. That's exactly where my head was at. And it's very interesting that a girl that had very little discipline, that got kicked out of junior ROTC, that graduated high school with a 2.1 GPA, graduated college with a bachelor's in mass communication and journalism, with a 3.92 GPA. As a distinguished military graduate, the top 20% of the cadets in the country. Adapting and overcoming. So I know that I have individuals in front of me that have a wealth of experience and, ahead. And one, I thank you for paving that way, because I know you had your own paths. I know you had your own adversities. And I thank you so much for not giving up, because I couldn't do what I do had you given up. So thank you. So now where I'm at, I'm in a position where it's so funny. Again, I always said I was gonna be on TV. And literally, I made a Facebook post back in 2011, January 21st, 2011. I said I'm gonna be on TV one day. January 21st, 2021, I'm on TV nationwide escorting the First Lady of the United States at the inauguration. This little girl that got kicked out of JROTC. It's amazing. And I thank God. I give glory to God, first off. But I'm so thankful for the people that were there, again, for the people that served in front of me, for the people that were serving beside me, to help me to get to where I'm at. And so I do want to close with this. Even where you're at now in your life, the moment that you're in, keep pressing forward, because you're in that moment for a reason. It's a teachable moment. It's a moment that's going to make sense later on down the road. But you gotta keep pressing on. And if you keep pressing on, you're eventually gonna get there. Say it all the time, you dream it, believe it, and achieve it. And I live by that. Dream, believe, and achieve. Again, thank you so much, University of District of Columbia, for having me. It is my pleasure. It is my pleasure to serve you, and have a great Veterans Day. Again, I'll be working tomorrow, so have a drink for me tonight. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. I would like to thank everyone for attending this morning. Being military connected, I have 3 aunts and 3 uncles are in the Army in my family. It's hard to convey how I feel about veterans because I'm not a veteran, but I absolutely love my job and I love what I do, and I thank you all for all your support over the years with everything. This morning in particular, I want to send a special thank you and shout out to the team for assisting. We have a Veterans Day committee. Lee Bryan, where are you? There you are. Thank you so much. He was here with me late last night, just the attention to detail, and he entertains my ideas. He tapers my ideas, and he does teach me a few things about protocol, so I'm excited about that. Dr. Latham and the division for funding my ideas. I mean, from the setup to buying things to picking up things, it was really a joint effort. So I'm so thankful and appreciative of you all being here today. So I have a few things. So for the veterans that are in the audience, we have some pens. I'm just gonna walk down the aisle and you can grab one. One more, or two more. Anybody down here? And how can I forget my board members for coming out? Thank you. So I actually would like to invite Dr. Latham back up and Lee Bryan Reba up. And Captain Garland. So to thank you for your service, in addition to coming out and speaking with us and writing our keynote, we have an award for you. I'll let them read it for you.
Well, first let me say, on behalf of the University of the District of Columbia's Board of Trustees, President Ronald Mason Jr., students, faculty, staff, and our distinguished veterans, it gives me great pleasure and an honor to present to you this token of appreciation, not only for your service and commitment to the residents of the District of Columbia, but to the citizens of the United States of America. We thank you, and we are honored by your presence here with us today. Need my glasses. The trophy has the university seal at the top. It has today's theme, Adapt and Overcome. Captain Angelina C. Garland, in recognition of your sacrifice and service, Veterans Day 2022. Again, thank you for honoring us with your presence here today.
Thank you so much.
Can we ask that you come in front of the
Come in
podium?
front of the podium.
No, it's fine. Thank you.
One more, please. Thank you.
We just have one more song to close out. It's Win by Brian McKnight, performed by Carlisle.
Dark is the night, I can weather the storm. Never say die, I've been down this road before. I never quit, I never lay down. See, I promised myself I'd never let me down. I never give up, never give in, never let a ray of doubt slip in. And if I fall, I never fail, I just get up and try again. Never lose hope, never lose faith. There's much, too much at stake. Upon myself I must depend. I'm not looking for places sure I'm gonna win. There's no stopping now, still a ways to go. Someday, somehow, whatever it takes, I know I'll never quit. I'll never go down. Promise myself they'll remember my name 100 years from now. Never give up, never give in, never let a ring of doubt slip in. And if I fall, I never fail, I just get up and try again. Never lose hope, never lose faith. There's much, too much at stake. Upon myself I must depend. I'm not looking for places sure I'm gonna win. When it's all said and done, my once in a lifetime we'll be back again. Now is the time to take a stand. Here is my chain, that's why I'll never give up, never give in, never let a ring of doubt slip in. And if I fall, I never fail, I just get up and try again. Never lose hope, never lose faith. There's much, too much at stake. Upon myself I must depend. I'm not looking for place or show I'm gonna win. I'm not looking for place or show I'm gonna win.
Thank you all. This concludes our program today. We have refreshments and drinks, and we have some goodie bags, so you can head on over. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Marine. I heard her right behind me going through rock.
There you go, there, Marine. Yeah.
All right.
Blood and guts.
Through rock.
All right.